Last time, I told you there was a darker principle waiting behind the first one. I wasn't exaggerating. Here it is, and I need you to sit with it for a second before I explain. Every single person whose portrait hangs in this gallery, everyone ruled alone, not because they wanted to, because there was no other way. I'm not telling you this as a theory I read somewhere. I lived it. There was a year in my own life where I watched people I cared about quietly step back the moment I stopped being who they were used to. I didn't understand it then. I do now. And if you are serious about the life you keep saying you want, this video is going to cost you something before it gives you anything. Stay anyway. If you watched episode 1, you already changed one question in your mind. Good. That was the easy part. This video is about what happens next. The part nobody warns you about. The moment you start asking, what does this teach me? Instead of, am I good enough? Something strange happens. The people around you notice. And not all of them are happy about it. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that happens. Why it's not a sign you're doing something wrong. And more importantly, how to walk through it without becoming cold, bitter, or truly isolated. Because there's a difference between the two, and almost no one explains it. I will. Let's name the thing directly, because vague motivational language won't help you here. When you start changing your habits, your standards, your daily choices, you don't just change yourself. You change the shape of every relationship built around the old version of you. Here's what nobody tells you. Most relationships aren't actually built on love alone. They're built on predictability. People around you learn how to relate to the old you, your complaints, your comfort zone, your shared excuses. When you stop complaining, stop making excuses, stop settling, you break a silent agreement nobody ever wrote down, but everyone was following. This is why ambition is sometimes met not with support, but with subtle resistance. A joke that cuts a little too deep. Why do you even bother disguise as concern? This isn't because the people around you are bad people. Most of the time, it's fear wearing a friendly mask. Your growth is an uncomfortable mirror, reminding them of choices they haven't made yet. I remember the exact conversation where I felt this happen to me. Someone I'd known for years made a joke about my new personality in front of a group, and everyone laughed, including me. But something in my chest went quiet. It took me months to understand that laugh wasn't really about me. It was about them. Watching someone they knew change into someone they didn't have a script for anymore. Every portrait in this gallery belonged to someone who felt this exact discomfort and kept walking anyway. Not because they stopped loving people, because they understood something most people never do. You cannot lead a life you've outgrown just to keep everyone comfortable with the old version of you. History rarely talks about this part, because it isn't glamorous. But look closely at almost any figure who rose from nothing to reshape their world, and you'll find the same quiet pattern. A season, sometimes years, where they were fundamentally alone, even while surrounded by people. Consider rulers who rose during times of revolution and upheaval. The kind of leaders history remembers for redrawing borders or rebuilding fractured nations. Historians consistently note the same detail across very different figures. In the years just before their rise, they distanced themselves from old circles, not out of arrogance, but necessity. The conversations that used to fuel them stopped being useful. The old certainty stopped fitting the size of what they were becoming. This wasn't cruelty. It wasn't ego. It was simple mathematics. You cannot carry the weight of a new life using the muscles built for the old one. The people who stayed close through that season weren't the ones who understood every decision. They were the ones secure enough not to need to. Notice something in this gallery. If you haven't already, none of these portraits show a crowd. They show one person. Not because kings and people around them. They did servants, advisors, armies. But the decision, the actual weight of it, was always carried alone, in a room much like the one from episode 1. Pause for a second. Here's a distinction almost nobody makes, and it's the entire point of this video. Loneliness is something that happens to you. Solitude is something you choose. Loneliness says, no one is here for me. Solitude says, I need this space to hear myself clearly. They can look identical from the outside, the same quiet room, the same empty chair at dinner, but internally, they are opposite experiences. The danger isn't solitude. The danger is mistaking solitude for loneliness and then trying to fix it the wrong way by shrinking yourself back down to fit into rooms you've already outgrown, just to feel less alone. That's not connection. That's surrender dressed up as belonging. The people in this gallery weren't isolated. They were selective. There's a massive difference. Isolation closes every door. Selection simply stops opening doors that lead nowhere. And here's the part that will actually change how you move through the next chapter of your life. The right people don't disappear when you grow. Only the people who needed you small do. I promise you this video would cost you something before it gives you anything. Here it is, plainly. Growth has a bill, and it doesn't accept excuses as payment. You may lose a friend who only liked you when you were struggling alongside them. You may lose the version of family dynamics where you were expected to stay small so others felt comfortable. You may spend nights doing the work while people you love are out living the version of life you used to live. And some nights, that will genuinely hurt, not because you made the wrong choice. Because growth without any cost was never real growth. It was just a hobby. I'm not telling you this to discourage you. I'm telling you because the people who quit halfway through this process almost always quit at exactly this point. The moment the bill arrives, and they weren't warned it was coming. You've now been warned. That alone puts you ahead of most people who ever tried. Now, an important warning, because history also shows what happens when this principle is misunderstood. For every figure who used solitude to sharpen their purpose, there's another who let it curdle into bitterness, who confused isolation for strength, pushed away everyone including the people who genuinely wanted to stay, and mistook coldness for discipline. The difference between the two paths wasn't the amount of solitude, it was what they did inside it. One type used the quiet to build something worth returning to share. The other used it to build walls so thick that even success, when arrived, had nowhere to land. No one left to hand it to. This is the part of the gallery most people rush past, because it's not as glamorous as thrones and chandeliers. But it might be the most important portrait in this entire hall. The reminder that solitude is a tool, not a destination. You use the room to think. You don't move into it and lock the door forever. So, how do you walk through this season correctly? Not with a 20-step system. With 3 honest questions. The kind you can actually use tonight. First, when someone reacts negatively to your growth, ask, is this person afraid of losing me or afraid of what my choices reveal about theirs? The answer changes everything about how you respond. Second, before you retreat into solitude, ask, am I doing this to think clearly or to avoid a conversation I'm scared to have? Solitude used as an excuse to avoid people is just isolation wearing a nicer word. Third, and most important, who are the 2 or 3 people who've never once needed you to stay small? Go protect those relationships fiercely, even as everything else shifts. Because the goal was never to end up alone in the gallery. The goal was to walk through it until you find a few people meant to walk beside you the whole time. The ones who were never threatened by the size of who you were becoming. Remember the empty frame from episode 1? Look at it now. Still not finished. Still waiting. But something has started to take shape inside it, faint, unclear, but undeniably there. That's what this entire process looks like from the outside while it's happening. Unfinished. A little lonely. Impossible to explain to people who are only watching, not living it. But every completed portrait in this gallery started exactly this way, as a blur in a quiet room, while someone kept walking anyway. You are not falling behind. You are in the part of the story that doesn't get filmed, the part between who you were and who you're becoming. And that part, uncomfortable as it is not the exception in every great story. It's the requirement. If this one hit harder than the last, good. That means it was true. Subscribe, because next time we open the door this entire gallery has been building toward. What happens after Crown? Not the moment you arrive. The moment after, when everyone assumes you're finished growing, and you have to decide whether they're right. Tell me honestly in the comments, which of the 3 questions from the day are you actually going to ask yourself this week? Not someday. This week. Welcome back to the Gallery of Kings. The frame is filling in.